Good morning, good evening. I'm so excited to be here with Judy Krasna. As you all can figure out, we finally figured out how to put a cool background up, so we're real excited about that. And we're meeting Judy in Israel. She's an eating disorders parent advocate. She lives in Israel. She's the mother of 4 children, including a daughter with an eating disorder. And she's also grandmother of 2. I'm grandmother of 2 too now. Congrats. Judy offers free peer support to other parents and is an active member of the Academy for Eating Disorders, where she co-chairs the Experts by Experience Committee. She's also a board member and active volunteer at Feast. Judy advocates both in Israel and globally and blogs about eating disorders, both of them, at a link that I'm going to put on the website once we post this. Judy, welcome. So great to see you again.
You too. Thank you so much.
I just wanted to jump right in. Why is advocacy from parents of eating disorder sufferers important?
Well, it's really important on a few different levels, but on the most basic level, parents really know the system from the inside out. So we know where the flaws are, where the gaps are, where the imperfections are, and we're perfectly suited to point that out and to try to fix it. So, on the most basic level, that's, kind of a basic answer. I mean, on a deeper level, for us, advocacy is extremely personal. We are extremely vested in our children. And for us, that's what it's really about. It's really about getting our kids well. So, we're motivated, very strongly motivated in our advocacy by our personal reasons. And I think that makes us really powerful.
And I can speak for that because Judy recruited me to be part of then it was called the Patient Care Committee. Now it's called the Experts by Experience. And it was really great because parents can influence things at significant policy levels. What do you think, Judy, are the biggest challenges to eating disorders treatment in Israel and then also globally?
I mean, I think to me, the biggest challenge in Israel, and I know that it's a global thing, is that treatment providers aren't using evidence-based treatment. And that's my number one. That's my biggest frustration. My daughter was diagnosed and we weren't getting FBT, which meant that nobody was accompanying us, which meant that I had to go out and find all the information for myself. And when I did that and I researched and I found that FBT was like the number one treatment, and then CBT. And so I went to treatment providers here in Israel and I'm like, okay, where's my FBT? Where's my CBT? And they're like, I don't know, we don't do that.
Oh, no.
So, to me, one of the biggest frustrations, I sit in policy meetings at the Ministry of Health and I keep saying, where's the evidence-based treatment? Like, to me, that is the biggest frustration. And I speak to parents all over the world. And I know that it's not just an Israel thing. I know that a lot of the treatments that are being used don't have an evidence-based. And the other thing that really bothers me is, especially in Israel, they don't track outcomes. Mm-hmm. And if you don't track outcomes, you don't know if your treatment is working. So that frustrates me tremendously. And I'm sure that Israel is not the only country that isn't tracking its outcomes. So I think those are my top 2, frustrations or things that I'd like to see really changed in the future.
I'm with you there. Also, as a person who experienced an eating disorder and one of my children who developed an eating disorder before there was evidence-based treatment, then to find evidence-based treatment really through you all, through parent advocates. And we actually interviewed James Locke yesterday. So I think his video is already up on the site. There's evidence-based treatment out there and it has tracked, documented outcomes so parents can access it. Really, the system needs to catch up, it seems, from...
Definitely.
And this year, as in last year, the theme of World ED Day is Eating Disorders Can't Afford to Wait. Why is this important, and what message would you like to share with parents of sufferers?
Well, to me, I mean, I see this being super important because diagnosis isn't waiting and treatment isn't waiting, meaning, during this whole time while we're just waiting to catch up in the eating disorder field, people are being diagnosed. They're not being diagnosed fast enough. We all know that, the earlier the intervention is, the better the outcome is. But medical providers are still taking way too long to diagnose, way too long to get patients into treatment. And it affects outcomes in the worst possible way. So to me, it's frustrating also. I mean, my daughter was diagnosed 13 years ago. And I don't see any major change in the past 13 years when it comes to early diagnosis, when it comes to treatment methods. And it's so frustrating for me that I feel like, we're just running so fast, but we're not moving anywhere. So, to me, that's kind of, that's what speaks to me, just the whole, we just have to take the eating disorder field and move it forward together.
What do you think needs to be done in Israel particularly, and this will apply, I know, to many, many other countries, kind of policy-wise and programmatically to actually make them catch up to the evidence-based treatment?
I mean, starting, family doctors, pediatricians, they don't know how to diagnose an eating disorder. It can stare them in the face and they just don't see it. I mean, with me, the doctor kept saying, I don't think it's an eating disorder. I think she's depressed. And I kept saying, no, it's an eating disorder. And it took him a long time to be willing to commit to the fact that it was an eating disorder and to get her into treatment. And that whole time, the eating disorder was taking hold in her. And we lost all that ground.
Right.
And I don't see any improvement. I mean, I've gone to the government. I've said, please, train doctors. It's so easy. It's so simple. Just tell them what to look for. And when they know what to look for, tell them what to do. How do you refer? Who do you refer to? I mean, it's socialized medicine. So the system is actually, on paper, it's actually a really good system.
Right.
It just, when it's not on paper, so many people fall through the cracks. And they just keep getting sicker and sicker. So to me, it really starts with learning how to diagnose, not just doctors. I mean, guidance counselors, teachers, coaches, people who, spend a lot of time with, adolescents should learn what an eating disorder looks like. Should be able to say to a parent, I think your son or your daughter might have a problem, and get these kids in treatment. So I think it's that beginning part. To me, it's that, diagnosis, referral, like that just keeps lagging and it just doesn't seem to catch up. And to me, that's just so detrimental.
This is a great call to action for anyone in the policymaking world out there in Israel or any other country, in fact. I'm not really aware of, with the exception of, I think, Canada, which has done quite a lot of good work policy-wise. I don't think any other country actually addresses eating disorders from a public health perspective, and includes evidence-based treatment. So thank you for that so much, Judy. I wanted to also ask you about the social media campaign this year, which is Share Your Story, or hashtag Share Your Story. What to you is important about the personal narrative of those with lived experience, both parents and affected folks?
First of all, I find it to be very empowering when we share our stories, especially when we all do it together. I find it so interesting when there's so many common threads. Someone from Israel can tell their story, and someone from the UK can tell their story, and someone from Africa can tell their story. And the stories have so much commonality to them. And I just find that to be powerful. The fact that we're really in this together, the fact that, there's so many similarities, that the struggles are the same everywhere. And I think that when you make it personal, it really gives it power. I mean, I've always found that, I was once waiting, the Israeli parliament, they decide all the policy. And they were having a discussion about mental health that extended to eating disorders. And I wanted to be in the room. But there were a lot of people that wanted to be in the room, and there was a limited amount of space. And it got to the point where there were only about 20 people left, and there were very few chairs. And everyone had to state who they were, if they were a doctor, what hospital they belonged to. And I was in line, and I said to the guard, I said, look, I said, I'm just a mom. I said, I don't have a title, I don't have credentials, I'm just a mother who is invested in her daughter, and I want to be in the room. And all 19 people said, let her in first.
Awesome.
And to me, that was really a moment of understanding the power of the personal story. And I think that we need to all share, even if it's hard. It's not comfortable to share our personal stories. It's painful, but it's so important. And I really appreciate all the stories that I'm reading. They give me power.
It's been pretty incredible. I've been amazed as well myself. I'm so glad. In some ways, the downside of COVID-19, that we're all stuck inside and we have to do everything on Zoom. It's been really powerful because lots of people are now comfortable and they're speaking out more. And We do have a captive audience, I would say that. Judy, as a parent, how can parents of a child with an eating disorder be supported?
Um,
What would you tell a therapist or a provider, whether they have a lot of experience or none, really, which is often the case, just a few days of training? What would you tell them in order to support you or to support me or any other parent?
That's a really good question. First of all, I would say to understand that a mother or parents are part of a whole family unit. And you can't separate us out, and you can't separate us and our child out, meaning, we're one unit. So, when you treat a child, you're treating a family, not just the parents, not just the child, but really a whole family. And I think that that's really important, is to go with the mindset of, that these parents are struggling not only with one sick child, but with other children many times as well. And I think it's really important to just empower parents, because, we get kind of, I don't know, we lose our confidence. Your child gets sick, and sometimes there are insinuations that it may be your fault as a parent. That still exists even in this day and age. The parents can be blamed, and it really strips your confidence. It makes you feel really weak and ineffectual. And I think it's really important to give that power back to parents, partially through education. When my daughter was diagnosed, nobody gave us any education. I had to sit and research for thousands of hours on the internet to get my own information. I was lucky that I found Feast, which was an organization that supported me as a parent and gave me information and gave me support and empowered me to be able to do what I needed to do. But so many parents out there are alone and in the dark, and it's just so important, if you're a parent, to look for the resources and to really use the resources because they are out there. Right. But personally, I found that peer support was just so powerful, because hearing from somebody who was in my shoes, who made it to the other side, who has practical advice that really understands what I'm going through, it doesn't judge me. Those were, really beneficial to me in my early days. And now I try to give back to those parents who are, at the beginning of their journey, because I know how important it is to support other people.
And I would love for you, Judy, and I'll also put them in the links. I also was really helped by a couple of groups. One now has become International Eating Disorders Family Support, and another is Feast, and both of them are available online. There are probably some other groups out there as well, but I know those two best in terms of folks with capacity to provide good, solid peer counseling. That basically saved my life too, and it helps you to know what to do when you go in to see a clinician, what questions to ask, or you as a parent, what's wrong, something's wrong with your child.
Well, that's the thing. You intuitively, you feel it, but you feel like you have no voice. You feel like, you have no qualifications, so you don't feel comfortable saying it out loud. And, I found that hearing from other parents who were in my situation and them telling me, trust your intuition, let your intuition guide you. At that point, I was able to help my daughter. Like, I was stuck listening to what the doctor said. I was stuck listening to what everybody said, and it just felt wrong. And, Feast really gave me the power to say, this is wrong. I know my child. I know what my child needs. This is not it. So, right. It's really important for parents to get that support from somewhere and to feel empowered to take back, the reins of their family and their child.
Thank you so much for saying that. All you parents out there who are listening, there are resources for you. You don't have to do this alone. There's information, there's evidence base, and we'll link you into them at the end of this video. That's it for now, Judy. I think we're about out of time. Are there any other messages you would like to give for World Eating Disorders Day 2020?
The only message that I have, is gratitude. It is such an amazing initiative. And Israel, for the first time, is actually taking part. The Israel Association for Eating Disorders is doing a webinar on June 2nd. For the first time, they're allowing people who are not clinicians to join. It's a huge initiative. So you're really bringing about change. And I think, to me, the power of this is just the world part. The fact that we're really, I feel like, I'm supported. I feel like there are people doing this with me. I feel like I'm doing this with other people. And to me, the message is really the power of the public and the fact that we can change things.
Hear, hear. Thank you so much, Judy. Please
Thank
share
you,
any
Amy.
links or anything for the day in Israel so that we can publicize, and any contacts you'd like us to share as well. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much. You too. Bye.